Hi, everyone. This is Alyssa Robbins again from SADA, and we're happy to welcome you to today's live stream webinar, Meet the Experts, Google Drive, Security and Functionality in a Remote World. We at SADA are here again to offer our expertise as we're all working together in our remote environments. In the spirit of getting us all better at using our collaboration tools in our daily work, we've developed this weekly live streaming series, Sweet Bits, showcasing our incredible SADA experts and providing some much needed tips, tricks, and guidance around the capabilities of the G Suite portfolio. We hope these will empower you in your work at home life. You can submit questions to today's presenter at any point by clicking the link in the description below and typing your questions. We'll get to your questions at the end of the presentation. These sessions will be available following the live stream on our remote workforce hub known as Cloud Quarters. It's a new section of our website, complete with a growing collection of productivity and collaboration resources just for you. Heather will talk about it more at the end of her session. I'd now like to introduce you to our expert for today's session, Heather Summers, Digital Transformation Manager at SADA. Take it away, Heather.
Hi, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us for these sessions. I'm going to go ahead and jump right in by showing my screen. So I'll go ahead and present my screen now for you. So today we're going to be talking about Google Drive. We're going to really focus on security and functionality working in this new remote world. So I want to go ahead and get started. If you haven't met me before, my name is Heather Summers. As Alyssa mentioned, I'm the Digital Transformation Manager here at SADA. I help companies kind of expand their footprint with G Suite and a lot of times get rid of MS Office and help you with your workflows and really taking advantage of our Google toolset. Today we're going to look at using Google Drive, how to share files and folders, how to secure your files and folders through permissioning, and then how to work with MS Office, and then a little bit about working offline. So I'm going to jump right into my demo and show you what we're talking about. So I always like to start with my email, and inside of my email on the right hand side next to my company logo in the upper right hand corner, we have what's called the apps launcher. If you click on the apps launcher, you can go to any one of our productivity applications, Docs, Sheets, and Slides, which are interoperable with MS Office. So Docs becomes Word, Sheets becomes Excel, and Slides can become PowerPoint. But I'm going to go directly into the Google Drive. Now, inside of the Google Drive that we have on up here at the top, what's called the settings gear, it's right to the left of that apps launcher I showed you before. So here in the settings gear under settings is where I can set up my offline option if I want. So if I'm on a plane or something like that, I can go ahead and check my offline abilities. And if I want to go all in with Google, I can go ahead and check this convert upload files to Google Docs editor format. And what that means is that anything that I upload into the Google Drive will become a G Suite productivity product. So Word would become Docs, Excel would become Sheets, and PowerPoint would become Slides. If you go to the left of that, you're going to see a question mark here with the words training. So I'm going to cover a lot of material in this summod. I'm going to say about 15 or so minutes, and I want to make sure that you can go back and get information. So if you go to this question mark and go to training, everything that I'm going to be covering is listed here. It shows you exactly how to get off of your C drive onto the Google Drive, which is helpful for working for remote. It also tells you about our getting started with Drive and then getting started with shared Drive. Everything that I'm showing you today, you can also use in your free consumer Gmail account. Everything except our shared drive, which is only available to our G Suite Basic and G Suite Business, Education, and Government clients. So here in the middle is our search, which we'll come back to. And then over here on the left is the Google Drive icon. Underneath that Google Drive icon, you're going to see the word new. That new button is where I can create a folder inside of my drive, I can also upload files or folders or create things in that productivity suite that I showed you, docs, sheets, and slides. Also under more is other applications that you get as part of G Suite, Google Forms, Google Drawings, Google My Maps, and Google Sites. Some of these other applications I've gone ahead and uploaded for myself from the App Store, the Chrome store. If you go down below on the left-hand side, you're going to see what's called the Priority Workspace. This is where you can create your own workspaces with documents from the different areas. And I want to explain to you what the different areas are. So first off, we have what's called My Drive. My Drive is our version of your C drive. So here inside of Google Drive, the C drive now could go with you anywhere that you have internet connectivity. And it's great because it's on the cloud. So it's backed up. You have all the security that you would get from Google Drive and our security abilities and so forth. So my drive, the way I kind of explained it to myself, is sort of like your backyard. Those of you who've gone to some of these other sessions know that I have kids. I have teenagers. One's 13 and one is 16, and they're swimmers. And we used to have a baby pool in our backyard, and that was where their pool toys went and where all of their floaties were and so forth. So in that backyard is my stuff. Sometimes people would throw things over the fence, or the kids would bring things from other people into our backyard, but it was still our backyard. Now, I'm going to skip the shared drive because I told you that's for our corporate government education customers. I'm going to go down to the shared with me for a second and talk about that, and then we'll come back to shared drive. Now, the shared with me reminds me of our community pool. So we have a community pool here in our neighborhood, and anybody can swim in that pool. And none of the stuff in that pool belongs to me per se. It belongs to other people. So you can see here, Vinny owns this. He's the owner of it. These are my SADA accounts here, and I own those on my SADA account, not this account, and so forth. And this is almost like shortcuts back with the Windows 7 and the previous Windows versions where you put a shortcut on your desktop. These are actually owned by those people, but I have access to them, can change them, and so forth. So that's what shared with me is. Now, shared drives. Again, this is just for our business customers, education, and government. So those of you who have free Gmail accounts will not have seen this before, but shared drives are our member-only drives. This reminds me of the country club down the street. So in that country club, you have to be a member. And you can see here, it says add members. And I can add members to this drive. And I'm going to go ahead and add my colleague, Nikki. And I can go ahead and make her a manager, which is the same as myself, a content manager, which allows her to edit, move, and delete items, a contributor, which just allows her to edit and add things inside the drive, a commenter, and a viewer. Now, a manager, the big difference is that they are able to add or remove members, so those people who are part of my country club. I'm going to go ahead and send this to her, and then now she is a member of my shared drive. Now, a lot of people think that this mimics their corporate on-premise server. It does and it doesn't. There are some limitations to shared drive. You can only do 20 deep share folders, and there's some limitations in the sizing for the shared drive. So what we typically recommend is you to break up that material into different shared drives depending on who it needs to be shared with. We're going to go ahead and go into our drive, and we're going to go ahead and create a folder. So I'm going to go to New and Folder here at the top. And this folder I'm just going to call Drive Class. And today is 4/9. Now, whenever I make anything on the Google Drive, it is private to me. Now, of course, my company owns this material, not Google, so you won't see any superfluous things or ads or anything like that. This is owned by your company. Google is just being what's called a PaaS, a platform as a service, and we're offering you this ability to have this room in place, right? So if I go and share this folder with someone by right-clicking and going to share, and I share it with Nikki per se, here inside my drive, I have different permissions than we saw inside of my shared drive. So by default, Nikki will be an editor. Editors have all the same rights and privileges as I myself do, but if she deletes this folder, it only deletes it for herself. If I delete it, it would delete it for everyone that it's shared with. Now I can make her a viewer or an organizer or an editor. So, but I'm going to leave her as an editor and send her that link to this drive. Now, typically I do this class for a group of people, and sometimes it's in person or through a webinar. So instead of typing in every single person's name, there's other types of sharing opportunities here. So I'm going to right click and go to share. And here in the upper right hand corner, you can see get shareable link. And there's also down here at the bottom, advanced. I'm going to go ahead and go to advanced so you can see. So here's inside of advanced, you can see that this is private to me and to Nikki. But if I click on the change option, I can share with anybody at my company with the link, and they make it view only, or they can be editors, or I can do anyone on the cloud can find and access inside of my company. So here I've got these two choices. If I was in person, I might do the first option. Here in a webinar, I would probably do the second option with the editing. Now, the other level of security that I have, I'm going to add Veronica here, is I can go ahead and make somebody that commenter or viewer that we saw, or just a viewer in this case, and I can also expire out their viewership. So for Veronica, I can expire it out in 30 days, 60 days, or a custom date if I wanted to. And I can prevent any of the editors from changing access or adding new people. So even Nikki can't add anybody else to this folder. Now, when I open up the folder, I can go ahead and create things inside this folder. Now, one of the big questions that we get is our interoperability with Microsoft Office. So I'm going to go ahead and upload a folder in Microsoft Office. So I can do this by going to New and Folder Upload. And here I can go to my downloads, and you'll see a Microsoft folder here. Now, this folder has files in the different applications. So I'm going to go ahead and upload it and upload that folder. Now, if I wanted to keep it in the Google format, the nice thing about keeping it in our Google format by using the settings gear and going to settings and checking this box is that they will take up 0 space inside of our Google ecosystem. If you do anything that's outside of Google, you'll see here on the file size that it does take up space. Now, these are in Excel, PowerPoint, Word, and so forth. So if I double click on this file, it's going to open up in what's called preview mode. And in that preview mode, there's not a whole lot I can do. I can put in comments, I can download it to my computer, I can print it, but I really can't do a lot of changing of this file. So I want to go ahead and do some changes on this file. So if I go up here to the top to open with, it's going to tell you it's going to open with one of our editors, which is called Google Sheets. And that's our equivalent to Microsoft Office Excel. Now, the cool thing is that we can open this up using what's called Office Editor. And this is an editing tool that allows me to keep it as Excel, but have all the functionality of Google Sheets. And what that means is if I go over here to the cost, watch this total down here at the bottom, see this 195? I'm going to change this 2,300 to 5,000. And you see that this still summed it and updated that number, but it left it as Excel here in the top. And the other thing I can do is I can say Heather's company large file example. And if I go back to my drive and go back, you'll see here, we'll update it, that it's Heather's company large file example. It still says Excel. So this can be a little confusing because it looks like Google Sheets, but it doesn't translate it into our product. It leaves it as Excel, but gives you all the operations of Google Sheets. What that means is I now get the auto saving. If I go to File, I have a version history here, and I can see my version history. And then I can share with people the file. So you saw that I shared it with Nikki. And here you can see Nikki's in the file. And I can also share it with another person at my company, and they can go ahead and enter this file and make changes and offer comments and so forth. So you have the ability to have multiple people in the same file at the same time. So you get that real-time collaboration that you would get only with Google. So here I've got my file. I can download this as Excel, and I can share this through email as an attachment as Excel. Now, the other thing that I have, if I go back into my drive, I've got the power of search. So you have the power of Google search here. And what you can do is you can go ahead and type in up at the top the words drive, and it's going to find me everything that says drive. So here you can see a shared drive child folder. There's the drive picker example. And some things are owned by me and some things are not owned by me. If I want to narrow down my search, I can click on the down arrow here. I can go to type and say I want a folder, for instance. It's owned by me, and then it was created today. So that way I can narrow down my search to that specific folder that I'm looking for. And that is using what's called the advanced search form, which you see here at the top. Hopefully this answered some of your questions about Google Drive and how to work with Google Drive. I wanted to show you also the versioning and that real-time collaboration. So I've gone ahead and shared this file and folder with my other SADA account, and I'm going to open up this file and you'll see me appear right here. This is my SADA account up here. And if I go and change that same number, so watch the total here at the bottom, from 5,000 to 2,300, you can see me changing it in real time, and you saw that change there. If somebody makes any changes, you can go to File and Version History and go to See Version History, and this shows you exactly who did what. So my SADA account's purple here, and my regular account is this kind of aquamarine blue. I can always restore back to a previous version if I need to. And then the other versioning history that I have is inside of that file. If I go and right click on the file, you can see here the manage versions, and it shows me exactly the different versions of the file. And I can always revert back to a previous version if I want to. And then the other thing we have is over here on the right-hand side, you see the View Details button. Will show you the activity with that file and who did what. So you can see that Nikki edited the file also, and you can see the edits that I did here. So hopefully that helped you. And I want to go ahead and show you some cool information and take some questions. So my colleague Nikki is putting the questions inside of our information that we had, and she's taking them from that link you saw in the video. It says, if someone has created any file in their Google Doc, can they move that file to one of my folders if this folder is also shared with that person? Yes. So if somebody has shared a folder with you and you want to move files or in or out of that folder, you can. So let me show you. Here in the shared with me, I've got this digital events live stream folder, and I can take any of these items and drag them into my drive. And I can take any of the files inside of my Drive class today and drag those into the shared with me items. So I could go and drag that into a folder that had been shared with me from someone else. You can also always take that folder, right click on it, and add it to your Google Drive if you want, and so forth. So if somebody from out that was part of your group and wanted to add something into the folder, they can. They can even make things inside that folder if you've shared it with them and given them edit access. How do I share with an external user that has a Google account? So if you go up here to the top and you go to share, can't share through a link at my company. We've locked that down, but you can still share at my company with an individual through here. Now, it depends a little bit about the company and what their sharing settings are. So you want to check and make sure what their sharing settings are. Outlook.com. So I can give this person edit rights, go ahead and send it, and it'll send them an invitation. They'll have 14 days to sign up for a Google account, and you can send that. As on your personal Gmail accounts, there is an option under the share that you can do exterior to Google. So the first option is the same. The second option is anybody on Google. Third option is anybody on Google with that confined in access. The fourth option on a personal account would be anybody with the link can edit. And then the last option is you can publish it to the web. Now, obviously at a company, we want to lock down that security a little more. So we're just doing it within our company. But your company has the ability to choose those options if they want. But I would recommend sharing it to their email account and giving them those 14 days. You can also sign up for a Gmail account, a Google Drive only account for free if you want with a company email. That gives you a free trial for Google Drive if you want to try that out. Can you show the search options again? Yes, so you can type here at the top just with Drive like we did, and I created that large, let's just say large company file. So company large, there it is, large file example. Now I do this all the time, so I'm going to come up with a ton of them here. And each one of these spaces in between the words acts like an and. So you can see here, this has Google Sheets office hours. Doesn't talk about the company large file in the title. It could be in the body of this. This talks about it inside of the body of that presentation. And this is actually on a Google site. And then this is somewhere inside of that file. So this looks not only in the title, but in the body of the document too. So if you want to narrow down your search, you can click on the down arrow, and here where it says type, you can choose, I want a spreadsheet, and for owner, I can put me as the owner, and then you can say location, and you can even look inside of a particular folder if you want. So in this case, I could look right inside of that folder, and then I can search, and it gives me the exact file that I want. If you need to share it with someone who's still using Microsoft Office, there's a couple of options that you have. So here I've got a Google file example. And if I come into this Google file example, I can go ahead and do file and download as Excel. I can also email it as an attachment as Excel. And then I can do that same thing if I leave it as Excel too. So just remember, you have to use our Office editors, which is up here at the top, and go into Google Sheets. It's not going to convert it to our version of that application. And you can go to File and download as Excel, or you can email it as attachment as Excel. And the other person will not know that you're on Google at all. They'll get it as a file in Excel or Microsoft Office. For security reasons, if someone downloads the folder, which I have shared, how can I be notified or can I restrict it? Yeah, great question. So inside of that folder that you saw here, I have the ability under Share to restrict this under the Advanced, that I can prevent editors from changing access and adding new files and new people. I can't restrict them from downloading the folder, but I can at the file level, I can come in here and highlight everything, go to Share, go to that Advanced, and here I can disable the options to download, print, and copy for the commenters and viewers. So here, Veronica would not be able to download, print, or copy this. So I can do that at the individual file level. But great question. Can you share an empty folder for external participants to access using your team drive? Yes, you can. So it's actually called the shared drive now. And if I go into my shared drive and go up here to the top to the shared drive settings, you'll see that I have the ability to add those people, but I also can go to the drive, shared drive settings here, and I can share outside the company. I can also restrict those commenters and viewers from downloading, copying, and printing. So with my ability, I've said you can go ahead and share outside the company with this. But that's a great question. You can restrict this if you want to only people inside your company, just like the Google Drive. So a lot of people use the shared drive for an extra layer of security. That person would only have access to that particular team drive or shared drive. Team drive is the old name, and I even find myself saying it. If you narrow down your search to find a document, will the search options default back to, or do you have to clear the narrowed down search? So yeah, it will go back to a new search, but if I do that large company file example again, oops, I went right to it, but let's type it in, large company. If I want to do another search right this second, I have to clear it. But if I want it in, if I were to narrow this down to spreadsheet and search, it stays in there. But if I go ahead and click on this file and then come back, oh, it's still there, then you might want to clear it. But typically, if you refresh or do anything else, a lot of times it'll clear out, but you can clear it yourself by clicking on the X. But great question. Can you show again how to open an Excel file with sheets and keep it as Excel? Sure. So if you have any Excel file, it doesn't matter which one it is, as long as it has the X, you'll double click on the file, and by default, it's going to open up in this what's called preview mode. You can tell it's in preview mode because it has this black bar all around it. Up at the top, it'll say open with Google Sheets, which is a little bit of a misnomer. It doesn't change it to Google Sheets. It's just opening it in our editor. And what that happens is you know it's done that because it says this XLSX. But if I go back into the folder, you can see it's still Excel. But it'll let me save things. I still can do a lot of the things that I can do in Excel. I can create a filter. I can create a pivot table. I can format it. It just doesn't have the ribbons and look like Excel, but it'll leave it as Excel. If you want to convert it to our version of the product, because you want it to take up 0 space, for instance, if you go to File and Save As, it will make a copy of it. It will no longer have the XLSX little extension anymore, and it will now be our version of the product. And you'll also get a different icon. Our icon looks like this with a little plus sign, and then Excel obviously has the X in it. So just FYI, if you want to change it into our version of the product, you can. Does that apply to Word and PowerPoint files too? Yes, it does. If you want to use PowerPoint or Word, you can use that with the Office editors also. What happens when I delete a file or folder? So if you delete something inside of Google Drive, it will actually go ahead and go into our trash. You can recover it from here if you want by doing recover or restore, or you can delete. And that's only if you're the owner. If you're an editor, it just disappears from your drive and doesn't affect anyone else. Now, if you want to delete it forever, you can by right-clicking on it and deleting it forever. Now, there's a little different with our trash inside of our shared drives. If you delete something from here, it deletes it inside that drive. But if I go and view the trash for that drive, there's a 30-day moratorium for that item, and you have 30 days to recover it or restore it. Inside of the trash, normally inside of my drive, there is no retention policy. That's only on our shared drives that we have this retention policy. But great questions. And thank you again for really being so interactive and on these sessions. I wanted to tell you a little bit about our cloud quarters. We do this Thursday option every Thursday at 10 a.m. Pacific time. Our next one, we're going to talk about Gmail and transforming your virtual workspace. So we've added a lot of things to Gmail to help you with your work. So we're going to talk about those in the next session and hopefully give you some tips and tricks on how to work better from home. And then we have a new offering, if you haven't heard about it. Google is now offering Google Meet, which is our enterprise version. It was going to be just to businesses. Now we're offering the ability to do what's called a quick start plan. SADA can get you up on Meet, Chat, and Drive in a matter of days. And then we spend time helping you with training and configuring and all of the other aspects of that. So definitely want to give you that information, tell you that if you are struggling with working from home, we have some solutions for you. We could help you out. You're going to get this service for free until September 30th. If you have any questions whatsoever, please contact our Google sales at sada.com. Definitely want to make sure that we are helping you with this new paradigm. And if you need anything whatsoever, we'll be sending you a live stream, a link to this particular presentation. You can always go to our cloud quarters on our SADA website and check out these programs there. And then we will also send you an email if you went ahead and signed up for this presentation with a survey to get feedback about other sessions you might be interested in, any other questions you might have, and so forth. On behalf of myself and the entire team at SADA, I can't thank you enough for supporting us in this endeavor, and I hope you and your family are healthy and happy, and I wish you a great rest of your day.